So, especially since no one's here today, that we really have to make sure this recording is awesome. So let's start by going over last night's homework. So the first thing I want to say is these are Regents questions. So this is a whole real Regents test. This is what it's going to look like. The only difference is if you got one with a staple, the regular test is more put together like a book. That's the only difference. So this is the test that they took in January this year. So anybody who wanted to do a retake or make up the test from previous years, this is the actual one they took this January. What you're going to find when you're going through this is, well, first of all, like we haven't quite finished the year. So that's why chapter 2 or question 2 you had never heard of before. But some of the questions are, they're kind of tough. They're kind of confusing. And that is why there is a curve on the Regents. In case you didn't know that, basically they do statistics and something about a bell curve and blah, blah, blah. In the end, know that they add about 10 points to your grade. So to get that 65, if you can get around a 50 to a 55, so knowing about half the question, you should pass. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm saying probably. So even if you get your test and you're like, oh, I don't really like that grade, keep in mind that it probably would be bumped up about 10 points. There are questions in here that I kind of only skim over. I think the one that, I think it was 11. Yeah, question 11, I've never mentioned. We're done with that topic. I've never talked about it. We will get there. Like sometimes there's questions I don't cover and I kind of cross my fingers and hope they don't ask about it. In this case, it backfired and they asked about it on this one. Maybe they won't ask about it next time. But again, that's why they curve it, because there are a list of standards. The standards are pages and pages long, and there's sometimes we can't all get to them. So they know that, and that's why they offer that curve. But anyway, let's go through these questions. So if you were supposed to put your answers on the answer sheet, but nobody did. So, okay, good. The answer to 1 was 2. 2 is 1. 3 is 4. No, it's not. 3 is 3. 4 is 1. 5 is 1. 6, 2. 7, 4. 8, 2. 9, 4. 10, 1. 11, 3. 12, 2. 13, 4. 14, 4. 15, 4. 16, 1.
I suck.
Okay, well, let's see what you got wrong and why. So let's go pick a few of them. We don't have time to go over all 16, so hopefully you didn't get them all wrong. But let's go over any you want. So take a look, go through, see which ones you got wrong. Kat, had you done that? Awesome. While you have this open, your homework tonight will be questions 17 through 30 in this same test, so just keep that in mind. Huh? I couldn't hear you. Okay, we'll keep it like I was saying, and you were out when I was saying it. There is a curve, so there's that. And hopefully you might try a little bit harder during the actual test, so maybe a few more right. What?
Like 3/4% right on the multiple choice and you automatically.
Yeah, so it's very similar here. Like we've got the lab practical, so that's already a huge chunk of your grade. As long as you do good on that, which hopefully you've been, like everybody's labs grades are good, so hopefully you know how to do well on that. All right, which one should we go over, guys?
The only ones I got wrong are the ones that I second guess myself.
Okay, so which ones are those? Give me a couple of them at least.
Number 4 I got wrong.
Okay, yeah, and number 4, it's actually a good one to go over because it's what we're doing right now. It's the chapter we're in right now. So this will be coming up on a test. I'm looking at like maybe next week is the Memorial Day week, right? Yep, so maybe the middle of the following week, but we're getting really close to being done with this chapter 2. So question 4 will be on that chapter 9 test when we get there. And it says, Earth rate of revolution. And remember, what? Did you think rotate?
Yeah, so I picked three.
Okay, well, you fell for their trick.
Oh,
And so revolution is they're talking about how long it takes to go around the sun. So in case you forgot completely where the math comes from, remember the earth goes in a circle around the sun. That's 360 degrees. How long does it take the earth to revolve? Sure, I'll answer 365 days. And when you divide 360 divided by 365, that number rounds to 1 degree per day. They threw in some numbers that look familiar, so don't let that mess with you. What other ones should we go through? Pick one cat. How about that? Well, you're each telling me one. So the rest of you get ready, since there's only 4 of you here.
that's crazy.
It is weird. It's really weird. Cat, pick any of the ones you got wrong. 9.
They're probably all getting right.
No, that's not it.
Oh, yeah.
The process of heat transfer through molecular collision. When those molecules, when one hot molecule collides with another hot molecule, that is like when you are sticking a fork or a metal thing in the fire, and even though you're holding the end that's not in the fire, it still gets hot, and that is conduction. That question, you did have to kind of just know that vocab word. So that is an off the top of your head one. Destiny, give me one that you got wrong. Yeah, 11, like I was saying, is the one I haven't taught you yet. Can I ask you which one you picked? You picked 4? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you shouldn't have picked 4. Because do you know what an orogeny is? Hint, you should know. Okay, so an orogeny, if you look in your reference table, it pops up here, the Allegheny orogeny, the Acadian orogeny, the Taconian orogeny, and down here, the Grenville orogeny. If you read through these, they all have pictures of mountains, and they all happen when plates collide. So this is talking about plate tectonics. That's not going to mess with the ocean current. Same with a volcanic eruption. That's not going to cause ocean current stuff to be messed up. If you pick tsunami, most of you know that that's a big wave, so that might be why you picked that. But the answer is El Nino, which we have not talked about, but I can tell you right now, all El Nino is it causes a reversal of the ocean currents off the Pacific plate. So what that means, so teachable moment here, what's El Nino? What it does is it messes with this ocean current here off the Pacific Ocean. So instead of warm water going this way, what happens is cold water comes this way. And when you have cold water in a place that's used to having warm water, that's going to mess with the pressure and mess with the weather, and that's what causes to disrupt the weather pattern. So the 4 of you in this room and anyone watching this video should now know that an El Nino is the reversal of the ocean current. Consider.
Is that all you need to know?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. It's gonna mess with the weather. So consider yourself taught. El Nino is the reversal of the ocean current.
That's like Matthew.
Isn't it just little boy?
Maybe.
Not here, on that field trip.
Where is it too?
It was something with the band and orchestra or something. Yeah, they're just leaving. All right, Sarah, you already gave me one, so Carter, give me another one. See what? Give me one that you got wrong. 3. All right, in New York State, really? Did you not use your reference table?
So I did, and I had the right answer, but I couldn't guess myself. I'm like, no.
Okay, what do we know about the altitude of Polaris? What does it equal? No, what is altitude of Polaris equal?
Oh, you're right.
Your latitude. So altitude of Polaris equals your latitude. So they're asking in New York State, the highest altitude of Polaris, you could substitute that in as saying the highest latitude will be observed. And then they give you 4 choices. I don't know where these places are off the top of my head, and I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. So you need to use your reference table. They gave us Utica, which Utica is here. They gave us Kingston, Kingston's down here. They gave us Messina, which is up here, practically Canada. And the last one they gave us was Old Forge. Out of those four, which one has the highest latitude then? Messina. So Messina has the highest latitude, so it's gonna have the highest altitude of Polaris as well. All right, so you each picked one. Is there any more that any of you guys wanna go over? All right then. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over the quiz. I am not going to record going over the quiz because there's a bunch of people who still have to take it. So we're starting moon phases here on page 20, and before we get to the actual phases of the moon, because that's the test is, that's the January 23rd test, or January 23 test. So yes, again, in case you forgot, since I already told you, your homework is back in that January 23 test. So in case you didn't notice, this is the January 2023 test. You are doing questions 17 through 30. So I think that's page 6. Yep, page 6 through 9. So again, answer those on the answer book paper if you could. That way it's super easy to grade them tomorrow. All right, so we're gonna start with satellites before we get to moon phases. When you hear satellites, what pops in your head?
Satellites.
Phone, satellite, what do you mean?
Going up in space.
Fish.
Okay. Fish?
Dish.
Dish. Satellite dish is what most people probably think of. And I do want to clear it up. If you're thinking of a satellite dish here on Earth, you know, like the actual dish itself, that's not.
I'm thinking of the thing that floats around in space.
Good. So that there is an actual satellite in space that your satellite dish is like collecting data from. So a satellite, if you're thinking of the thing that floats in space, what do those things do that are floating in space? They revolve around Earth. So a satellite can be a man-made object that revolves around Earth, but like Damian was saying, the moon is also a satellite. So when I say the moon is a satellite, and those things that revolve around Earth that humans put out there are also satellites, how can we sum up what a satellite is then? You got it. I couldn't have said it better myself. It is an object in space that revolves around another object as a result of gravity. So this is on page 20 if you lost where we were because I was jumping around. Page 20, the first thing we need to do is just put in the definition of a satellite. It's an object in space that revolves around another object as a result of gravity. Earth's a satellite. Earth's a satellite of what? The sun. The moon's a satellite of Earth. Jupiter's a satellite of, what's Jupiter a satellite of? The sun, because Jupiter goes around our sun. Anything that goes around another object is a satellite. And then don't forget that sometimes the sun and the earth are closer to each other. And remember that's because we have that elliptical or oval orbit and the sun is off to one side. It's closer to one side than the other. So I think that fills in the whole top part there. Definitely go ahead and get the rest of that up there too. Why does the distance between the sun and the earth change? It's because the earth's orbit.
What's the moon a satellite of?
Oh, what is the moon? You tell me. If a satellite is anything that revolves around something else. There you go. Perfect timing. We're on page 20.
I got these cheap gel pens from like Dollar General and they're actually so good and so pretty.
Good to know, bro. All right, so we're gonna now focus on the phases of the moon. Now, first of all, can I ask you guys, did you know that there's phases of the moon?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you give me some examples?
There's.
New moon,
New moon is what? Waning crescent's what?
full moon,
Waxing gibbous.
Waxing gibbous. Any more?
lunar
Any of these guys, no, not an eclipse. Any of these guys on my shirt are phases of the moon. And yes, I did wear this shirt on purpose.
And check
Um,
out.
Yeah, so we're learning about moons and I'm cool, so I did it.
eclipse.
By the end of this week, you need to be able to look at a picture of any of these and tell me the name of that phase.
If it's,
I don't really like this shirt because it does have the black part showing, and to me, that's the side that you can't see, but,
isn't, like that side is waxing?
honestly, I can't tell because I'm upside down. And because it's backwards, like, are you looking at the moon would be the dark thing? Cause that's not it. I mean,
Oh.
you know what I mean? The moon
Yeah.
is, what we see
Yeah.
is the lit up part. So Old Navy tried, but it's not it. It's not quite it. So, do you guys know why there's phases then? So you know there are phases.
The way the sun hits. No.
It's not Earth's shadow. That's a big, huge misconception. It
No.
is not the Earth's shadow that causes it.
The position of the moon.
It has to do with the position of the moon Has to
When
do with the sun.
hits it and
and kind of. So how about this? Let's walk through this. How much of the moon is lit up every day? So I have my model up here and I added the moon back in.
Depends on the day.
No,
half
how much of the moon is lit up every day?
of the-
Half of it. Let me review, how much of the earth is lit up at any point during the day?
half
Half. Why is half the earth and half the moon lit up at any point?
is their space.
Because there's spheres and there's light coming from the sun. So I have it showing here in this model. Again, we've got the earth, we've got the sun, we've got the earth, and we've got the moon. Half the moon is lit up every day, all night, every day of the year. Half the moon is lit up. Well, can we see that half all the time?
No.
No, sometimes we can't see the lit up portion of the moon, and that's what causes there to be different phases of the moon. It's not the shadow, that's an eclipse. All it is half the moon is always lit up. We just can't always see the lit up side of the moon. Sometimes we can see a little bit of it, sometimes we can see all of it, sometimes we can't see any of it.
That depends on where this earth is.
Right, so the apparent shape of the moon, the apparent shape of the moon depends on the changing positions of
The earth.
Earth and moon. Earth, sun, and moon. And before we get into the moon phases, how long does it take the moon to revolve around Earth?
7 days.
No. Does this seem like a Google question?
Yes.
It does. So in earth science, at least for class, if you have a Google question, I see some of you doing it, the answer's in your reference table. That's a good question. Where have we talked about revolving?
Oh, I'm
It's 15, yeah. It's the front of the back cover, if that's a thing. It's almost the last page.
the moon. What was the question?
How long does it take the moon to revolve?
27.3 days.
So they did include, even though this is a solar system data, which includes the planets, they did include Earth, moon, and it takes 27.3 days for the moon to revolve around the Earth. So guys, don't forget, anytime a question seems Googleable, use your reference table. So that, we'll keep that in mind. So let's talk about how it is that we see different phases of the moon. So what I have to show this the best are what I fondly call my moon top. Don't laugh at me, Sarah.
Moon top.
We can handle that part here. Alright, this is a moon pop. First of all, let me say, do not mess with my moon pops. Do not remove the sticks. Do not jam the sticks in further. Do not mess with them. Not because they're high tech or even expensive. Because this is all I got. And if you ruin them, then other people can't do it. Got it? Okay, so this moon pop. As you can see, I faked it by coloring half dark and half white. But you know that's true, that whatever side is facing the sun will be lit up. By the way, the white part's supposed to be the lit up side. The dark side, the part I colored, is supposed to be the side facing away from the sun. So for today's activity, what we're going to do is pretend that that whole wall over there, the side with the window, that's going to be where the sun is. So that whole wall. So guys, can you hold your moon pop out in front of you and turn it so that the sun would be on that side. So make your moon pop look like the sun was on that side. You guys all did it perfectly. Great. You lined it up so the white part was facing the sun. So do you see again that half the moon will be lit up, the side facing the windows? But can we see that whole lit up side?
No.
No. When we have this moon pop facing the lit up side facing the windows, when we're looking at it straight out in front of us, you can only see half the lit up side. So by the way, how much of the moon are we seeing if we can see half the lit up side? Are we seeing half the
No,
moon?
you're seeing the whole thing.
No, we're not seeing the whole thing either.
Seeing a quarter of it.
We're seeing a quarter of it. Why do you say we're seeing a quarter and not half of it?
Because if you're seeing half, then you look at it like.
This would be half. In this case, we could see the whole lit up side. Remember, half the moon's lit up. But in this case, we can only see half the lit up side. So we're only seeing half the half. We're seeing a quarter. This moon right here would be called a quarter moon. Everybody see why it'd be called a quarter? Because we're seeing half the lit up side. So when you have that moon out in front of you, with the lit up side facing the windows, you can see perfectly half light and half dark. Now let's see a fancier moon. You know those crescents? Do you guys know what a crescent moon looks like?
Yeah.
How would you describe its shape?
Like a quarter. Well, it's
It's
like,
I see what you're going with. Yes, okay. It's like a smiley face or a crescent or, you know, okay. They're my favorite because it looks like the moon's smiling at me. Let's see how we get to there. So what I'd like you to do, actually first let's go to a new moon. New moon, why don't you stick your arms straight out to the side, making sure that the lit up side is facing the windows. So go straight out to the side.
There's one moon.
Straight out to the, just me, straight out to the side. Thanks. Now when you do that, when you look over, wait, cat, fix it so the lit up side's, there you go. Nope. Yeah, oh, there you go. How much of the moon do you guys see now when it's straight up? You can't see any of it. Because the lit up sides on the side we can't see. So you're only seeing, you're not able to see anything. Now what we need to do is go in between where we were before, straight out, and in like so up in the upper corner here. Make sure you turn it so the lit up side is still facing the sun. What do you see? You don't see anything? I beg to differ, I already.
oh, so we see that.
Okay, so you just didn't have it. What do you see? Do you see that little smiley face? Do you see the smiley face?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you have it over in that in the front corner of the room, you can only just begin to see that lit up portion coming out. So that's a crescent moon. So when we're seeing a crescent moon, the moon is just like this in the, but your head's the earth, by the way, in case you haven't gathered this. So the moon is going around the earth, and you can go from seeing none of it over here to just starting to see that smiley face when you get to the upper corner.
Personally, I'm not.
You're not seeing the smiley face? That's because you don't have the lit up side facing the sun. Do you see it now? Okay, so that's what we do have to force it to stay that way. Now you see that? Now do you see more of the lit up side when you keep going around?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all about us seeing some of the lit up side of the moon as it goes around the earth. The key is that the lit up side has to face the sun for this to happen. So like I was saying, you know, and nerdy, you can put it down now for now. We'll come back to these again tomorrow. But like I was saying, is you have to be able to name all different 8 phases of the moon. Now, some of you threw out the word waxing and waning before. Some of you might not have ever heard those words before or heard them and never thought about them. What it means is it describes different times of the moon in its cycle, and I have the best way.
I like to pretend I know what I'm talking about, so my family would be like, oh yeah, that's a waiting together.
Yeah, that is exactly what you should do. I encourage it.
And they don't know if I'm right or wrong.
Well, I just want you to be right. So I have a way of helping you at least remember the waxing
I know that movie.
and waning parts. So I'm about to show you the original Karate Kid. If you've watched Cobra Kai, the
Focus.
kid in this video,
Determination,
Daniel,
drive. Some say we're born with it.
Yeah.
Some say it lies within Jennifer's purse.
Yes, and the original Mr. Miyagi
Oh,
in this one.
yeah.
Why is it not?
Oh, Mr. Miyagi, I forgot to give this back to you yesterday.
You keep.
Oh, thanks a lot.
What's going on?
Ready?
Well, yeah,
I can't figure out how to make it go full screen right now. So we'll just watch it like that.
Talk. Walk on the road. Walk right side, safe. Walk left side, safe. Walk middle. Sooner or later, get the squish, just like grape. Here, karate, same thing. Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do guess so, just like grape. Understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Now ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yes. Let's make sacred pact. I promise teach karate. That's my part. You promise learn. I say you do. No question. That's your part. Deal?
Steel?
Yes. First wash all the car, then wax. Wax.
Wait, why do I have to watch all the car?
Remember deal. No question.
Yeah, but
Right. Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe. Very important. Wax on, wax off.
Back to part. They have never back to part my share
hey, where'd these cars come from?
Wax on,
To make it
Detroit.
shinier and brighter.
on.
When the moon is in the wax phases, the moon is getting brighter and shinier. So going from dark and dull to shiny, like a full moon. In addition to that, Miyagi has him using
Wax
his
on,
hand.
right hand, make a
So
circle.
which side of the car is get shinier first?
Circle.
The right
On.
side. So when we're looking
Off.
at the moon phases,
In,
if the shiny
Out.
side of the moon
wax
is
on,
on the right,
wax
then
off,
that is a waxing phase of the moon.
on,
So there's 2 ways this helps. Waxing means getting shinier and brighter. And when you're waxing with your right
Hate touching
hand,
athlete's butt?
side is.
Use Lotrimin Ultra Note.
I also want to teach you about the word waning. We only have a couple seconds left. Right now, your attention is waning. What does that mean? Going away. So what do you think the waning moon is?
Going away.
It's when the moon is going away from being a full moon to shrinking into that crescent in the quarters and getting, or actually first quarter, then a crescent. But waxing's getting brighter, waning's when it's going away. Did you guys put your moon tops up here? You never get to do your homework.
Sam, besides that, every video you play the ad that